Dante's Inferno, a hack-and-slash title released by Visceral Games under Electronic Arts all the way back in 2010. Inspired by the first part of Italian poet Dante Alighieri's 14th century Divine Comedy, this take on the classic casts Dante as a war-hardened crusader. Armed with the scythe from Death Incarnate and the holy cross of his beloved Beatrice, Dante descends the 9 circles of hell to save the soul of his murdered wife from the clutches of Lucifer. As Dante plunges into the depths of madness, despair, and everlasting damnation, he must come face to face with his family's transgressions and the consequences of his own sins to save the innocent soul of Beatrice. Dante's Inferno was released in February of 2010 for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and apparently a heavily downscaled version came out for the PSP. Alongside the game came a slew of transmedia products, including a comic book series published by DC Comics. There was also an animated film which I wasn't aware of at the time, so I found it and I watched it so I can include its references into this video. When Dante's Inferno released, reviewers wrote it off as a God of War clone and turned its "Go to Hell" tagline against it. But did the reviews really get it right? Fans of the game have clawed at the scraps of the series, hoping for a continuation or revival, but with the closure of Visceral Games in 2017 and EA's massive shift in focus to live service offerings and surprise mechanics, Dante's Inferno's fate seems to be lost in the deep circles of IP hell. In this video, I'll be breaking down the mechanics, describing the story, discussing the over-the-top marketing campaigns, and looping in references to the animated film, all to analyze whether Dante's Inferno deserved its damnation. So it's time to cheat death, steal his scythe to destroy demons, use the power of Christ to cleanse the souls of the damned, and battle through the 9 circles of hell to kill Lucifer and save the beloved Beatrice, all while being guided by the shade of the poet Virgil as I lose my mind and spiral into covering every single detail to answer the question, was Dante's Inferno actually good? If you enjoy these kinds of videos, help me out for free by clicking the like button and subscribing for more videos. A massive thank you to all my channel members who support me on my journey. You can join these amazing individuals on screen and support the channel for as little as $1 a month. A link is in the pinned comment. Now, before we dive into the game, let's briefly cover the history of how Dante's Inferno came to life. EA's Redwood Shores studio was founded in 1998 and released only a handful of titles between 98 and 2008. In the meantime, the studio was really trying to get their hands on producing original IP, an effort that would eventually culminate in Dead Space, released in 2009. After Dead Space's success, the studio was rebranded to Visceral Games. While one team at Visceral was working on Dead Space, another team was laying the groundwork for Dante's Inferno, a character action game set in the world of the Divine Comedy. So why did they use the Divine Comedy? Well, it's already a public domain work of art that has lots of visual imagery that's already produced, so the team can just shortcut a lot of the typical IP generation steps. Also, being a public domain work of art, it's free to use. Before release, the marketers had an absolute field day with Dante's Inferno. The most popular commercial for the game aired during Super Bowl 44, only 3 days prior to the game's release. In the 30-second commercial, Dante is seen diving into hell and fighting the demons while Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers plays. Obviously, I can't play the song here because copyright is a bitch, and so is your mom. It's a bit of an odd choice for this type of game, but I mean, if you're a marketer, you're used to inhaling your own farts and your brain cells are probably fried, so this sounds like a pretty good idea. Beyond the traditional ad campaigns, the team decided to dive into the concept of sins and the circles of hell. One such campaign was mailing journalists a $200 check in the mail. Cashing the check was meant to signify greed. Some people pushed back on this by burning the checks or by donating the money to charities. This looks especially bad once you realize that they're literally paying reviewers and journalists. They also shipped boxes to journalists that would rickroll them when they opened it. The song would just loop over and over until the box was smashed, at which point the unfortunate souls would learn that they'd succumb to the sin of wrath. But it gets even worse. During 2009 San Diego Comic-Con, the marketing team decided to invite convention attendees to commit acts of lust with any of the models or booth babes at the convention. Yeah, they did this. One winner would receive a dinner and a sinful night, whatever that means, with 2 hot girls, a limo service, and a chest full of booty, while 5 runners-up would win a copy of the game, a $240 gift card, and some free swag. Obviously, this didn't go over very well because it pretty much just looked like EA telling people to harass women at the convention, even if the instructional leaflet said to only take a picture with the women. And the icing on the entire shitty marketing cake was when they hired actors to act as Christian protesters protesting the game outside of E3 2009. Complete with signs calling EA the Antichrist, the entire thing was accurately spotted by most people as a marketing hoax that eventually led to real backlash from Christian groups that would call it an anti-Christian stunt in protest. The irony is palpable. Credit where credit's due. There were two really brilliant ideas that they ran with. The first was making a fake Wii game called Mass We Pray. Advertised to families looking for wholesome faith-based games to enjoy together, the motion-controlled game would allow the players to pray in church and interact in church sermons. There was absolutely no references at all to Dante's Inferno in the commercials, and when going to purchase the game, you'd instead end up on a website that would call you a heretic and play a trailer for Dante's Inferno and give links to a Facebook app called Go to Hell for sending weird hell-related messages to your friends. Good God, I do not miss that era of random app messages on Facebook. The other really great campaign was a fake company created called Hawk Panther.
Hello, I'm Les Singer, and I've developed a system that's going to teach you how to suppress society's false belief systems that are keeping you lonely.
That the alpha male takes what he wants, anything he wants.
His best friend's girlfriend, his co-worker's fiance, his brother's wife.
Go to my website right now, and I will teach you how to become the Hawk Panther.
Visiting the company's site would allow you to steal your best friend's girlfriend, I guess. And clicking the link to perceive would give a message stating treachery, condemning you to the 9th circle of hell. Really, the best part about these fake campaigns is that they in no way tied themselves to Dante's Inferno, and the only way to discover the connection was to go to the site. Dante's Inferno's release came at the height of popularity for the character action genre, releasing only 1 month before the conclusion of Kratos' journey in God of War 3. And that pretty much sealed Dante's Inferno's fate to be forever compared to Sony Santa Monica Studios' epic finale. When Dante's Inferno released, it garnered pretty okay reviews, mostly 6s and 7s, with reviewers praising the depictions of hell and the creativity displayed in presenting the descent into hell. But the reviewers felt that the game dragged in its final stages, and rather than building to an epic finale, it felt like it was just padded for length. And the inescapable comparisons to the God of War series left it written off as nothing more than a God of War clone. And whether the game should be compared to God of War is very much up for debate. Unfortunately for Jonathan and his team, the damage was already done, and Dante's Inferno wouldn't sell very many units. And spoilers for up ahead, but Dante's Inferno didn't sell well enough to get a sequel, despite the game ending with a to be continued screen. In some interviews with developers years later, those involved said that there actually was a finished script and at least one playable chapter for the sequel, but these would never see the light of day. In the years since release, the fans of Dante's Inferno, myself included, have been craving a sequel or a remake of some sort. Even as recently as February of 2025, articles are being written by passionate fans hoping to restore the game's reputation in hopes of getting EA's attention. Throughout this video, I'll be showing the gameplay along with the relevant cutscenes. Since the Xbox 360 version is part of Xbox's backwards compatibility program, I replayed it on the Xbox One X for the improved visuals for this video. The game starts with a simple introductory text card. There's not even a voiceover, which is a really odd choice to make the player read when adapting a book, or in this case, a poem, into an interactive audio and visual medium. The year is 1191, and under orders from King Richard, the Knights of the Third Crusade have captured 3,000 Kurdish civilians. The innocent hostages are being held as ransom for a holy relic that's taken by King Saladin. The holy relic is believed to be the cross used for Christ's crucifixion. Dante, as captain of the Crusaders, stands guard over the hostages. When a group of the hostages escapes and launches a revolt, we take control of Dante as he dispatches the attackers. Gameplay is pretty typical for a character action game. The camera is fixed to one position, showing an epic landscape in the background and a small enclosed area for the combat encounter. Light attacks are great quick strikes for hitting groups of enemies, while heavy attacks allow you to dish out slower, more powerful swings and are great for single target damage. Enemies telegraph their attacks, and you can use the right thumbstick to dodge roll away or to dash around the battlefield. Overall, the combat feels like a flowing dance with big sweeping swings, almost like a ballet of fire. And after a quick jumping tutorial, we learn that Dante can somehow double jump, and we enter a cutscene where Dante lets his guard down and is stabbed in the back.
Everlasting damnation for your sins.
I will not let my sins damn those dear to me. I will redeem myself.
Mortal, you are mine.
Now, the first scene in any action combat game is usually the most important. It sets the tone, teaches core mechanics, and establishes player expectations. Typically, the prologue introduces the basics, attacking, blocking, and combo flow, before giving the player a chance to build upon their skills. Then, right as the player's starting to really feel comfortable with those mechanics, the game throws a challenge at you, usually a boss fight, and it forces you to apply what you've learned, or it teaches you a whole new skill that adds on top of those. And unfortunately, Dante's Inferno just doesn't do this. Instead of a proper prologue and paced tutorial, players only get an opportunity to learn the basic attacks against escaping hostages. Then, without any meaningful improvement in player skill, Dante's thrown right into the boss fight against death. Because of this, the game is just forced to introduce core mechanics mid-fight through these tutorial pop-ups that completely break any immersion, and there's just no pacing here at a time when the game should be focusing on the spectacle and the storytelling of this momentous fight against death. Fortunately, the general premise of Dante being able to kill death to take his scythe for himself is so fucking badass that it carries the weaker aspects of this game design. After using some very familiar feeling quicktime events to defeat death and claim his scythe, Dante returns to his home in Florence only to discover his estate ransacked by bandits and his family murdered. Searching for his beloved wife Beatrice, Dante finds her cold body outside. As he grieves, her soul leaves her body and she's taken to the underworld by the shadow of Lucifer. Then the forces of hell arise from the ground and attack Dante, and we get more tutorial pop-ups. First, we learn we can use the right trigger to grab enemies with the scythe. Then we learn that we can launch enemies into the air by holding Y. Unfortunately, the player isn't really taught a reason to use these skills at this time, only that you can use them. During this encounter, there are no enemies that require you to launch them into the air in order to hit them, and there's no reason to grab enemies aside from being told to do so. When done correctly, a player should immediately use a newly learned skill to create a positive feedback loop and reinforce their connection for how the skill can be used to solve problems. For a more modern example of this, take a look over at Insomniac's Spider-Man. The player is taught to pull enemies up into the air and encouraged to air juggle enemies because it makes it harder for enemies on the ground to hit them. After surviving the battles, we're taught to open the upgrade screen. By defeating enemies and opening chests, we can find souls that can be spent to unlock new combos, abilities, health and mana upgrades, and new magic abilities. The upgrade screen is broken into 3 panels. In the center, you'll see a preview of what you're getting with the upgrade. I absolutely love when games have this, and it's now become such a standard in most games that I find myself getting annoyed when there are games that don't have it. The left side of the screen contains the unholy skill upgrades, while the right side contains holy upgrades. If you're wondering what these mean, well, that's another point against Dante's Inferno's game design. As we'll discover later, the difference between holy and unholy becomes very important, but these mechanics aren't explained or unlocked yet. So since half of the system isn't available to us yet, we'll just revisit this screen later. After reviewing all the skills on the unholy side of the page, I picked my first upgrade and I can now chain 2 heavy attacks together in quick succession for a fierce attack that impales enemies. The way forward is now open and we head up the path to find a statue of Beatrice for saving the game and a green health fountain. To use it, we press the right bumper and smash the B button until it's destroyed. And I could swear I've seen this before. Kicking open the door, we find the soul of Beatrice writhing in pain on the altar. She asks why Dante broke his promise to her, to which Dante says,
I don't understand.
Then she drifts away, leaving behind a glowing cross. Dante places his cross on the mark and the camera zooms in on the tapestry on Dante's chest. Dante's Inferno uses 3 different cutscene styles to depict the story. There are the traditional pre-rendered cutscenes, there are in-engine cutscenes like the ones we just transitioned from, and there are these stylized 2D animated cutscenes. As we'll come to learn, the tapestry sewn into a cross on Dante's chest contains panels representing his many sins. This is actually a really great depiction of the breastplate of righteousness, the spiritual armor granted to Christians through Christ, meant to shield against spiritual attacks and symbolize a life of virtue. As Isaiah 59:17 states, he put on righteousness as his breastplate. He puts on the garments of vengeance. But instead of protection, Dante's armor is a manifestation of his sins, a constant reminder of his transgressions rather than a safeguard against them. In the opening scene of the game, we see Dante sew the tapestry onto his chest. But in the anime, as Dante approaches the gates of hell, ghastly hands reach from the underworld to grab Dante and sew it onto him, forcing him to wear his sins on his chest. Returning to the game, In this cutscene, we see Dante vow to forsake all pleasures of the flesh and remain faithful to Beatrice until he returns from the crusade. The bishop proclaims that all of the crusaders are absolved of all of their sins for embarking on this holy crusade, and we also see Beatrice's brother Francesco is sent with Dante on the crusade. Then it cuts back to Dante as the church falls away and hell opens up before him. And I gotta say, the camera work and the visuals are goddamn impressive. We learn that hitting the B button uses Beatrice's Holy Cross to fire Holy Blast at enemies, and it's a nice touch that the projectiles are crosses. As the church collapses, more enemies come in from the underground. Now, before we push on any further, I need to point out that it's been nearly 5 minutes of in-game time without any combat since we purchased that first upgrade during the tutorial. It's been 5 minutes between making that decision for the skill upgrade and an opportunity to actually use it. The window for instilling any positive feedback closed ages ago. And I'd bet that most people playing this forgot to use the upgrade that they purchased during this combat encounter. During this encounter, we learn that Dante can either punish or absolve enemies after grabbing them. We'll come back to this mechanic in a bit. After clearing the enemies, we climb down this grapple point with a glowing circle, which I know I've seen somewhere, and I swear it's on the tip of my tongue. As we battle through, we fill our meter and we press left and right bumpers together to activate the Rage of Sparta. Redemption. With Redemption activated, Dante is faster, takes less damage, and deals more damage with attacks. Arriving in the first circle, Limbo, we meet the shade of the Greek poet Virgil.
Have pity on me, whatever you are.
A lady called. I prayed for her to command me.
Beatrice.
As in the original work, Virgil serves as Dante's guide through hell. In this depiction, Virgil was called by Beatrice to watch over Dante, with Beatrice promising to praise Virgil before God should she reach heaven. Virgil, of course, was born before the birth of Christ, meaning he's a pagan who is trapped in limbo. Then we're granted our first magic. Once slotted into one of the 4 spots corresponding to a face button on the controller, we can press left bumper and the face button together to use the magic attack. Mana is used as the resource for our magic attacks, represented by this purple line under our health bar. Purple orbs can drop from enemies or from purple fountains to restore it. It's a very gamey moment here where there's no explanation for this newfound magic ability. Dante can just cast magic now because the video game demands it, and definitely not because other more popular titles in this genre also have magic ability. Then a massive monster creature bursts through the wall. After a long time of just slicing at its ankles, a prompt for the right trigger pops up and we enter into quick time event mode. Slaying the rider grants us the ability to control the beast, and using the beast we can take out waves of enemies before using it to push open the door. Then we climb along the walls made from the souls of the damned. Along the path, we'll find Virgil waiting for Dante. He'll deliver lines from the original Inferno, and he'll converse with Dante about where he is in the 9 circles. He's ours and Dante's explanation for how and why souls are being tormented throughout hell. Moving on, Flaming Soul falls with a nice Wilhelm scream. On our path to board Karen, we find an elevator room with a crankshaft and a battle against a guardian demon. These guys have a pretty large health pool, and some of their attacks make their sword glow red. Thankfully, every developer and player agrees that this means that the attack is unblockable, so you better dodge out of the way. Once it's down to a low health, the right trigger flashes above its head, which grabs the enemy, and we get a flashy QuickTime event as we absolve it with a blast from our cross. Killing it spawns another one, this time with 2 minions flanking it. And this time we choose to punish it, and Dante's scythe transforms into a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc as he uppercuts the demon into the air and rips it in half.
All souls that die from every nation collect here as one. Karen's rough crossing awaits those who did not fear the Lord.
After smashing some boxes, because even in hell I have to satisfy my inner loot goblin, We find the cowering soul of Pontius Pilate, and we can choose to either punish or absolve the soul. So this is one of the core mechanics in Dante's Inferno. Along our journey, Dante will stumble across various figures throughout history that are damned to suffer for all eternity. There are 27 of these so-called damned, 3 for each circle of hell. Each has about 2 sentences to explain their sins and how they face their torment. Obviously, Pontius Pilate is condemned for his cowardly act of ordering the crucifixion of Christ at the behest of others. And in the circle of violence, next to the river of blood, we'll find the soul of Attila, the scourge of earth. It's pretty clear that this is meant to be Attila the Hun, and it's a direct interpretation from Alighieri's poem where he says, "I saw people sunk up to their throats, and the great Attila, who was the scourge on earth." For each of these damned souls, we can choose to either punish or absolve them and send their souls to heaven. If we choose to punish them, Dante pulls out this dual disc and stabs them through the face. If we choose to absolve the soul, a minigame pops up. There's a cross on the screen and orbs fly in toward the center. You have to press the corresponding face button while the orb is over the button icon. Now this could be a really fun minigame to break up the pace of the game and offer some variety, but there are 2 really big problems. The first being that you're locked into this unskippable minigame for 40 seconds, which might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot longer than the 5 seconds it takes Dante to put a hole through their face. And the worst part about this is that there's no music. I'm just gonna let this play out for you for a little bit, and I haven't edited the audio here at all. I honestly thought this was a bug the first time I played it, but no, dead silence is all you get. You might be wondering why you'd want to waste 40 seconds of your time with this, boring mini game when you could just punish them for 5 seconds and get right back into the action. As you kill enemies with the cross or you absolve them, you'll earn holy XP. You can punish or kill enemies with the scythe to earn unholy XP. Earn enough XP on either path and you'll advance your level in that path, represented in this visual, which very cleverly is in the shape of a crown of thorns. Leveling up grants access to more powerful abilities and combos in that path. These interactions with the damned are a big one-time drop of XP and souls to quickly level up either path. You'll want to focus on one path. Unless you want to find all of the secret collectibles, there's just barely enough XP and souls in the playthrough to get all of the upgrades for a single path. And for you achievement hunters out there, there are 2 achievements tied to this system, one for maxing out the holy path and the other for maxing out the unholy path, meaning multiple playthroughs are required. There are some other ways to boost the amount of holy or unholy XP that you gain, but we'll discuss those in a bit. So I attempted to focus on the holy path during my playthrough, but eventually I just got tired of spending 40 seconds doing some boring ass musicless version of Tap Tap Revenge, and I started punishing the soul of every damn that I could find. I guess you could say that I gave into temptation. Well, I guess they fucking got me there. So I ended up choosing to punish Pontius Pilate, which rewarded me with 600 unholy XP, enough to level up to unholy level 1. Then we find Lucifer with Beatrice.
You don't deserve such a faithful, pious young lady.
Then we make the crossover to Karen's ship.
You there, stand aside from those that are dead.
Where is Beatrice?
She made a very foolish wager.
Take me to her! My life, my soul for her return!
You fool, those belong to us already.
While climbing along the walls, we find a secret item. These relics give passive buffs. Some give buffs to damages, others to defense. Some, like this one, give buffs to holy or unholy XP gains. The player can slot in 2 relics, with an additional relic slot unlocked later on in the upgrade tree. Each relic has requirements to be able to slot it in, and each can level up to improve the buff that it gives. Moving on, we climb along the walls of Karen, and I must point out that instead of nets like most games, we're actually climbing on the tortured and screaming souls of the dead. Pretty nice touch. Inside, we get our first sliding block puzzle, and after completing it and jumping up, we get another of the animated cutscenes.
Your Immaculate Father hereby absolves you of all your sin!
Is it true we can absolve our sins without confession? Would a bishop lie?
Promise me You will protect Francesco. You will protect Francesco. Promise me.
I will protect your brother like he is my own.
On the deck of Karen, we fight against another of the huge beasts, which we again commandeer to use to kill off waves of enemies.
Prepare to be challenged to the circles of hell.
As the pillars fall, we climb to the top, then run along the surface as it collapses before using the scythe as a grappling hook to reach safety. We catch up with Virgil, who explains that we're in Limbo.
Beyond Limbo is the fallen King Minos, judge of the damned. But for those who remain in Limbo, the rest shall be sentenced to the circles below.
So here's where we're introduced to a stacking mechanic. We are now taught that we can use the grab ability to grab an exploding enemy and throw them into the glowing cracked walls to destroy them. This tutorial should have happened in the first section of the game. It would have given a reason to introduce the grab mechanic and show how it can be used to solve puzzles and how they can be used as a weapon against the enemy. Once inside, we find Karen's head and we shove it off into the abyss, which rewards us with some souls and unlocks an achievement. Heading down the corridor, we find a goat statue containing a relic and a fountain containing a Beatrice stone. So there are 2 collectible types to be found throughout the 9 circles. There are 30 of these silver Judas coins. Collect them in sets of 5 and you'll be rewarded with a chunk of souls. I've already collected 2 of them up to this point. The other collectible are these Beatrice stones. Find 3 of them throughout Hell to unlock the ability to auto-absolve the souls of the damned. Yeah, you heard that right. If you find enough of these Beatrice stones, you can completely skip the 40-second minigame. This is just so fucking sad. This means that they knew the player would be so fucking bored of the Absolve minigame that they put in a mechanic to reward you with the ability to skip it. If you have to put a reward in your game that skips a central mechanic, you've designed a bad fucking mechanic. As we move through Limbo, we enter this room, and these demon babies will get to live rent-free in your nightmares from now on.
I saw a fire that overcame a half-world of darkness.
The unblessed infants. Baptism they did not have. The one gate to the true faith was never shown to these newborn souls. Limbo shows no mercy for these babes.
Over in the anime, Dante discovers in Limbo that Beatrice was pregnant with his child when he left for the crusade, but the pregnancy resulted in a stillbirth. Dante finds the soul of his lost son here in Limbo. I find it really interesting that this was in the anime and not in the game, and I have a feeling that it was cut from the game because there are just more eyes on the game than there would be on the anime, and this is kind of a controversial topic. In all of the other circles of hell, Dante has a personal connection to the sins and to the torment that's taking place, but there isn't an instance of this in Limbo in the game. Limbo sort of just serves as a step along the journey. Heading on, we find King Minos judging souls in the distance, and we know that we'll have to get there. Throughout the next few battles, we'll hear his voice ringing out. This is King Minos. He judges the souls of the dead and determines which circle of hell they'll get to reside for all eternity. In the poem, he's not this giant monster, but instead he's a man with a serpent's tail. Upon hearing the sins committed, he would wrap his tail around the soul, and the number of times he wrapped his tail around would indicate which circle they would reside.
Who comes into my house of pain?
One who loves Beatrice! Tell me where to find her!
I smell only a traitor, a glutton, a murderer.
Sniff again! How dare you presume to speak with the judge of the dead! Your Beatrice will never be returned!
To defeat King Minos, we have to dodge his spiky tail that comes out of the ground. All you have to do is keep moving and you won't get hit. Then we have to dodge his slam attacks and jump over his arm when it sweeps across. Eventually, he'll do a massive slam that can only be dodged by grappling onto the wall. Thankfully, it's pretty hard to miss the obvious right bumper callout on the top of the screen. After we dodge his slam, we can then grab his arm to do a quicktime event that leaves his vulnerable belly exposed for our scythe attacks.
Salvation is not within your reach.
As we damage him, he'll pick up the pace of his attacks and add in an attack where he breathes. To dodge it, we also need to grapple to the wall, then he'll place his head down and let us swing at him. While we hit him, he'll retaliate with his forked tongue. This attack is actually quite difficult to dodge at first, and if you fail to dodge it, you'll end up in a quicktime event where you have to roll out of the way of his attacks. Even if you successfully avoid them, getting hit by his tongue lash resets the entire phase of the fight, meaning you just need to dodge all of the slams and the breath attack again. Once you succeed, you'll be able to grab his tongue, and Dante pulls the powerful judge toward the bladed wheel. Dante stabs the tongue onto the wheel and spins it to shred Minos through the head.
King Richard wants us to babysit 3,000 prisoners? That is the king's command?
He intends to negotiate the exchange of these prisoners for the return of the true cross.
Negotiate with heretics?
I can comfort you if you let my brother go.
I have a woman in Florence.
Dante, don't.
Let me comfort you.
So the plot thickens. Dante isn't the noble and righteous hero he proclaimed to be. And after one incredibly boring Absolve minigame, we make our way into the Circle of Lust and find Cleopatra. So there's a lot of boobs in this game, like a lot of boobs. This section of the game is incredibly difficult to present on YouTube, so here's hoping that I pay enough attention in editing to hide all of them. To enter the tower, we need to break down the barrier. There's a puzzle where this pink lightning generates a ball that flies down the path. In the middle of the path is a lever that will reverse the direction the ball travels. Time the pull of the lever to send the lightning back at the windstorm and break it open to pass. But first, drop down this side section, crawl along the walls, and find the hidden silver Judas coin. And before we proceed, we might as well stop to chat with our boy Virgil. Making our way inside, we find another new enemy type, the Temptress. And boys, you know what they say, never stick your dick in crazy. Temptresses are actually pretty challenging, mainly because they're able to dodge your attacks, they require you to time your attacks, and they prevent you from simply button mashing. Using the platform to climb the tower, we fight against enemies while Cleopatra climbs the tower with her tits just completely out in the background.
Beatrice, don't do this.
Because of you, I must.
I would never do anything to cause this.
Oh, but you did cause this. Let me refresh your memory. Look into your beloved's eyes, Dante.
Guards, release this one. And her brother.
You broke your promise.
You don't know what it was like. Beatrice, don't.
I have no choice.
My faults are mine, but she doesn't deserve this. I have to set things right.
Give up the little bitch, Dante. Once this dirty business is complete, and Lucifer's way home is reopened, her part in this play will seem so small.
I don't understand.
Reaching the top, Cleopatra spits out the soul of her lover, Mark Antony. We'll wail on him, parry his attacks, and dodge his unblockable attacks. Eventually, Cleopatra gives him invulnerability and heals him, requiring us to attack her hand on the platform to put a stop to it. After a little while, we take him down. Then we battle against some enemies while the platform is being destroyed by falling debris. Then we climb our way into the Circle of Gluttony. And dropping down, we come face to face with Cerberus. This has got to be one of the best depictions of Cerberus that I've ever seen. Rather than the traditional bog standard dog with 3 heads, here we have a disgusting, fleshy, turtle-like behemoth with 3 long necks that end in terrifyingly misshapen heads. Each has a gigantic, ravenous maw with massive teeth and an even bigger black gum line. And each has 4 eyes. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, the eyes are also made of teeth and have elongated necks that reach out to bite you from the eye sockets. Ugh. And the arena itself is an island of flesh set in a pile of gore and eyeballs with a thick black bile moat. This is a thing of nightmares, and I'm pretty sure everyone involved in bringing this abomination to life lost some part of their humanity when they poured their souls into the art. Bravo. The beast's attacks are pretty standard mechanics. It will sit back and hawk loogies at you. Gross. It will also lunge out at you with one of its mouths. Before it does, break open one of the pustules on the ground to release a stream of fire, setting it alight and allowing you to freely attack it. Once it's taken enough hits, jump into a QuickTime event to slice off the head. You'll do this for each of the heads, but the 3rd head doesn't go down so easy. Instead, it grabs Dante. And with the power of Christ, he destroys the beast from the inside and bursts free. Then you have to walk across this melted face and its tongue to reach the Circle of Gluttony. Playing this game at night was not a good life decision. In the Circle of Gluttony are these worms that burst from the ground. You've seen these in tons of other games at this point, and this is a nice hidden tutorial moment when the first one attacks you and grabs you without warning. It teaches you that these enemies can grab you and you'll have to mash the B button quickly to escape. So the team does have the chops to put in a good tutorial design. It's just a shame that they didn't show their abilities from the start.
What these shades could not satisfy in life, in death they shall be denied for eternity.
Like father, like son. You think you're above reproach.
The bishop assured us that our sins would be absolved.
And you believed him. You actually believed these salesmen of salvation. This isn't their hell. It's yours.
Don't waste your tears, girl, knowing my son is long dead by now. You dare enter my home!
No.
She wasn't my sister. She was my wife.
Oh, so the man who murdered Beatrice was the husband of the woman Dante slept with, meaning all of this was Dante's fault. After a puzzle involving portals and some MC Escher-esque design, which took me far longer to solve than I'd like to admit, we make our way toward the Circle of Greed. There's a brief cutscene where we see the greedy nature of Dante's father.
Take it all.
How will I feed my family?
That's not my problem. I have friends to entertain.
For the crime of greed do these souls suffer. Those clerks, a squint of mind, made no measured spending in life. And by contrast, In these popes and cardinals, greed practiced its excess.
We're jumping ahead a bit because greed is kind of, well, it's fucking boring, okay? There's lots of fights, there's liquid gold rivers, but god damn is it a long level with nothing interesting happening. There is this one part where you have to fight one of the beasts on a platform above liquid gold, and if you don't kill it fast enough, the platform will sink into the gold and you'll meet your end.
I lost my genitalia in an unfortunate smelting accident.
So you fight off the thing by slashing it in the feet, making it do the hokey pokey and turn itself around, before finally killing the rider with the same old quick time event from before. Then this asshole appears and kicks you off without even giving you a chance to fight back, which I think is supposed to be another hidden tutorial to teach you that these guys can hijack your beast, but come on, let me learn that one organically through gameplay if it happens. I take back any praise I gave them for hidden tutorials.
So, you think you're a better man than your father? I think I am too much the same man as my father. Then we'll find out who's the better man.
So Dante must battle his father to pass the circle of greed. Alighiero, whose name is a play on Dante Alighieri, is a gluttonous, greedy, evil man. In the animated epic, it's revealed through a flashback that Alighiero beat Dante and his mother after 3 gold coins went missing from his stack of coins. Here, Dante's father attacks with his large gold cross. He will summon a flying cross to come attack you, which you can parry and send back at him. Then he'll start summoning recurring shockwaves, preventing you from getting in close. As you fight, the arena will shrink in size, making it all the more difficult to avoid his many AoE attacks. When he throws 3 of the flying crosses, you really need to parry all 3 of them to do lots of damage and to stop them from shredding you.
Go on! Use me as an excuse! Blame me for everything! You're so full of greed and hate. Is that all you had to offer me? I'm not responsible for the man you are. And I will not be damned like you.
Dante collects the jewel from his cross, and we're rewarded with a new magic that can summon the flying crosses. And after another platforming section, we make our way into the Circle of Anger.
See the souls over whom anger has prevailed. In the warm bath of the sun, they were once hateful. Down here in the black sludge of the river Styx, do they wish they had never been born?
Here you have to turn off the fire on the platform using the crank at the bottom. Then climbing up, you push the gear along until it reaches the end and the whole platform rises. And to put the pressure on, you're on a ticking clock to do this before the fire climbs to reach the cremation platform and burns you alive. You need to do this several times to reach the top of the tower, and all the while the exploding enemies are attacking you, and you need to use them to destroy cracked walls that are blocking the crank from moving forward. And strangely, this is the first time we've needed to use the explodey guys to destroy a wall since we were first introduced to the mechanic all the way back in Limbo. I find it strange that it takes so long to reintroduce a mechanic that was shown to us in a tutorial pop-up. But this is definitely one of the best sections of the whole game. It's challenging, it's tense. Just a good ass level. That is, except for this part where the lever decided it didn't want to count as being fucking lined up. So finally, after restarting the mission for the 3rd fucking time, I reached the top and I pushed the final lever into position.
Son, the city of Dis draws near, housing its condemned citizens within. The eternal fire that blazes there makes the mosques show red in this nether hell. While
crossing over to the city of Dis, Dante unknowingly rides the crown of Phlegius. Obviously, Phlegyas is pissed about this, and he shakes Dante off, and Dante fights enemies while Phlegyas tries to smash it. Phlegyas actually derives from Greek mythology, where he was a Thesean king and the demigod son of Ares. The god Apollo fell in love with Phlegyas' daughter Coronis, eventually impregnating her. But while Apollo was away on his duties, Coronis had an affair, and the heartbroken Apollo ordered her to be killed. After her murder, Phlegyas burned down the temple of Apollo. This blasphemous act against the gods would not go unpunished, as Apollo would kill Phlegyas and throw his soul into Tartarus to be condemned for all eternity. In the Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri casts Phlegyas as a ferryman that ferries Dante and Virgil across the river Styx to the city of Dis.
Beatrice.
When you had your way with that girl, you gave me to Lucifer!
She wagered her soul that you would be faithful. Now, let my power flow through your soul. Give in to our union. And together, we will regain paradise.
Don't do it.
The faithful has lost her faith. The incorruptible has become corrupted. The true innocent has given way to the sins of man, like all the rest before.
Then Dante rides Phlegyas across the chasm to the city of Dis, and we get presented with a truly epic scene.
We moved toward the city, secure in our holy cause, and beheld such a fortress. And on every hand I saw a great plain of woe and cruel torment. Bitter tombs were scattered with flame, made to glow all over, hotter than iron need be for any craft. And such dire laments issued forth, as come only from those who are truly wretched, suffering, and forever lost.
While controlling Phlegyas, Dante heads into the city of Dis, but the floor collapses and Phlegyas falls into the abyss. Then Dante climbs out, and there's kind of this odd moment where the game decides to give us a tutorial about how to climb up onto a ledge to dismount. And this isn't the first time that we've done this, so I don't really know why there's a tutorial. More than a few times along our journey, we've been platforming along ropes and handholds, so we know how to jump already. I mean, we're 5 hours into the game, and we're still being presented with basic information.
Here you will find the heretics and followers of every cult and pagan sect, all buried together, burning in eternal fire.
There's this really cool moment here of game design where the mechanics are stacked to test the player's knowledge. First, you enter this room with this guardian, and after killing it, you have to pull the lever to turn off the flames to be able to proceed through the hallway. Then down the hall, and you turn the corner, and this happens. Now, I know it's not the most subtle, but this is an instance where the music and the camera create a sense of tension and let the player work out that they need to run before the lever gets pulled. But for every good moment of good game design, there's another moment of bad game design. In this room, there's a puzzle where the goal is to destroy the statue by making a beam of light strike it. To solve the puzzle, you have to pull this lever, then place a block under the forge to prevent it from tipping back. Once you do that, there's a pop-up that tells you the trial is complete and you have to go back the way you came. And I really just don't understand why they had to break the fourth wall here. It's a perfect example of bad level design. If you're a good level designer, the player would know exactly what they need to do, where they need to go, and when they've completed their task. Heresy is home to new enemy types. These are the pagans. They sling fireballs from their staff and they attack from a distance. Then there are the priests, which are a good change of pace because they're immune to Dante's holy attacks, meaning I couldn't just rely on my usually effective combo of holy attacks for AoE stunning and launching enemies and air juggling them. And so begins the descent into violence.
My son, within this remaining cavern, there are 3 more circles, one below another, each full of accursed spirits.
As Virgil explains, violence is separated into 3 circles. In the first round of violence, we'll find the Phlegathon, the boiling river of blood, where those who committed crimes against their neighbor are sentenced to be burned for all eternity. And in the second round, we'll find the Wood of Suicide, those who committed violence against themselves. And unfortunately, we find the soul of Dante's mother.
Why do you break me? Have you no pity?
No.
When the soul quits a body from which it has uprooted itself, Minos judges it to the 7th circle. There, it sprouts, shoots up like a sapling. No body, only the pain. For it is unjust that any soul possess that of which it has robbed itself.
But you don't belong here, Mother. You died of the fever.
Her heart just gave out from the fever.
I despised your father's cruelty. But I was too weak to defy him. You learned his ways.
Beatrice was all I had. Why did I betray her?
It is too late for us, son. There is still time for her. Absolve me. My soul belongs to you. You must save Beatrice. She is innocent.
In Violence, we find that Dante commanded his troops to murder the prisoners against the wishes of Beatrice's brother Francesco. Then there's one of the most annoying battles in the whole game. You have to push this contraption up the hill while fending off the onslaught of enemies. Anytime you get hit, Dante will let go and the device will slide back down the hill. After about 3 attempts, I just got lucky and the enemies kept missing their attacks at me. Then we reach the River of Blood and Dante finds the soul of Francesco. Francesco slowly moves around the battlefield and he swings his sword or he throws it at you. He'll summon shielded enemies to slow you down, but just circle around and wail on him until he dies. Dante ends up taking the standard from Francesco's back and the player is rewarded with it as a usable relic. Entering the Circle of Fraud, Dante finds Beatrice being all badass and demonic, and we encounter the latest threat. These big fiery boys force you to use holy attacks to get rid of their fire armor and make them corporeal to be attacked by your scythe. A nice welcome change and a great addition to the formula in Combat Loop, but unfortunately, this next area is the worst part of the entire game. Here is the exact reason why people said that it ran out of steam and it was padded for length, and why it started to earn 6s and 7s. The next few combat encounters are challenge arenas where you have to kill all of the enemies within a certain amount of time. There are modifiers to make it a real challenge. You'll get infinite use of magic to make it a breeze, or you'll have to kill a number of enemies while air juggling them, or score a 100 hit combo. There are 10 of these rooms, and the whole section is just a sloppy cop-out and kills all pacing or momentum on the journey to find Lucifer. There are 3 of these rooms that are far worse than the others. The first being a minigame to protect the innocent from the exploding demons. You just sit back and you spam the B button for holy attacks for about 3 minutes until it ends. One of the challenges is by far the worst. It's the one where you have no access to magic while you fight off all the enemies. And it's not bad just because it's challenging or because you have to fight enemies without magic. No, it's bad because the challenge ends abruptly when one of the beasts comes crashing through the wall and a pop-up on screen tells you challenge canceled, escape. This little fucking pop-up is the death of any immersion, and it makes you wonder why you were ever doing a challenge to begin with if it can just be canceled like this. What a fucking break of the fourth wall. But the second to last challenge is the worst one because it's just pure torture. You're gonna have to kill every single enemy with a single combo. It's gonna take you a couple of tries to beat this one, so you better get used to seeing that fucking game over screen over and over again. Eventually, you get through that nightmare of level design to find Beatrice, where she calls out Dante for allowing Francesco to take the blame and be hanged for the crimes that Dante committed against the prisoners. Dante, having finally been forced to confront the consequences of his sins, admits that he belongs in hell, and upon seeing that he still has her cross, Beatrice's soul is saved and she's taken to paradise by the angel Gabriel.
Beatrice.
You've done well, Dante. And though you may not understand it now, you have saved much more than this innocent soul.
I don't understand.
Your redemption is near. Trust me, you will see her again.
And oh man, I really hope that this foreshadowing pays off in the sequel. Now we're in the final circle of treachery and almost to the end of our journey. We fight in the frozen circle against demons as giants breathe cold breath on us that tries to push us off the edge. If you stay in the breath for too long, you can be frozen and knocked right off. Then we make our way across a frozen bridge that collapses as you cross it, which feels sorta out of place. And finally, we break the chains of Judeca and descend to meet Lucifer himself. Straight into the action, no big speeches. Phase 1 has Giant Lucy slamming his fists down, creating shockwaves that you have to jump over. He also throws out gusts of wind to knock you away and spawns in tornadoes to circle the battlefield. Eventually, he'll do a slam that brings shards from the ground and exposes himself to be grabbed, with Dante flying through the air to hit him a few times before falling to the ground to throw holy attacks at Lucy's exposed belly. And once he's knocked low enough, he'll begin his big speech, which sounds an awful lot like Palpatine. And a big shout out to my friend on Xbox Live for signing in with perfect comedic timing.
You are the best, Dante. Many have tried and many have failed me. Brave Ulysses, the great Alexander, Attila, Lancelot. Only you possessed a soul black enough to free me.
I gave my soul to free Beatrice, not you.
Did you really think this was all about the girl? She was the bait!
Her soul is free now. Only you and I remain.
Come for me, holy warrior! Come! Fulfill your destiny!
The first thing you're going to notice about this fight against Lucy is his big floppy cock and balls. And you can thank me because now you'll be unable to focus on anything else through the remainder of this fight. In this final 1v1, Lucy swings his flaming blade, and after a few hits, he'll be sent reeling and rewards you with health and mana orbs, which to me feels a little bit like a cop-out. They really should just let you fight this one out without any healing, make it a little bit of a challenge, because it is Lucifer himself after all. He'll do this really cool attack where he throws fireballs at you and you have to dodge roll to avoid them, and he also unleashes these massive shockwaves. If you try to hit him with holy attacks, he'll block them and flashbang the whole screen. Visually, this fight is impressive, and the music kicks so much fucking ass. Eventually, Lucy will take to the sky with diamonds, and we run around the battlefield dodging his attacks to occasionally grapple up to him. Then he flies to the center and raises the platforms around the pentagram. Dante puts on his best Spider-Man impression to reach him. Then we get an epic QuickTime event to finally put Lucifer back in his place. But before Lucy perishes, he shows Dante one very important, slightly minor detail.
Dante. I will reclaim my rightful place in paradise. My path will be paved with the sins of man, and yours, Dante, shall be the bedrock of my return. And all that is good shall be gone from the universe forever!
Dante ends up going full anime, proclaiming that he's absorbed the souls of many along his path and that they now have the power to absolve him and take down Lucifer. Lucifer does that normal Sith thing and says that Dante should join him, and together they can wield that power to conquer the galaxy, or heaven and earth, I guess.
We can use it together. You and I, friend. Just think what we could achieve.
I would rather not.
He even says that they can use the power to bring Beatrice back from the dead. Then the souls imprison Lucifer back into Lake Cocytus. And the camera shifts to show Dante's soul in purgatory.
I did not die, and I did not live.
Dante rips the tapestry from his chest, but it turns into a snake, and we hear Lucifer's laugh one last time before it says, "To be continued." And that is how Dante's Inferno ended. Not with a bang, but with a cliffhanger and a good old-fashioned "to be continued," which never happened. So to answer the main question, Dante's Inferno was actually pretty good. The main highlights are the incredibly detailed depictions of the circles of hell and the torments that are being faced by the souls condemned there. It's hard not to get excited to see what lies around the next bend as you journey through the circles of hell. The plot itself has some problems, but overall it's effective enough, and Dante's written as a pretty complex character. I especially like that we learn about the sins of his family and how he falls not far from the tree, but in his own way. It also helps that Dante is voiced by Graham McTavish, of all people, who plays Dante with a cinematic flair needed for the character and for the setting. Where the story doesn't really work for me is how they changed some things from the Divine Comedy. Beatrice in particular was changed drastically and not for the better. In the original, Dante wasn't her husband, and Beatrice actually serves as the soul that saves Dante, not the other way around. So to turn her into this just exposed titty damsel in distress feels very video game. But also, this is the kind of change that would just never fly under modern gaming and internet culture, so I'm kind of glad that they did it when they still could. And the gameplay is very much a God of War clone, a fact that is even further bolstered when you realize that several of the developers had previously worked on God of War, and it doesn't have the depth of God of War, but hell, I really fucking enjoyed Dante's Inferno when I first played it, and I also was really excited for the sequel. It was one of the first sequels that I can remember being disappointed to hear was canceled. But what did you think? Is Dante's Inferno actually good? Should EA revive the series through a remake, a remaster, or even a reboot? Let me know in the comments below. Big thanks again to all my channel members who support me and my channel. You can support me for free by liking this video or subscribing. If you'd like to become a channel member and have your name listed here on screen, you can do so for only $1 a month. A link is in the pinned comment below.